Alright, I'm not going to do my usual spiel today because this really wasn't the video I wanted to be making, but seeing as Mythical has not only posted a quote thread about me on Twitter, which he took everything out of context just to spite me, now also posting a video about me, which he could barely stretch to 5 minutes, and despite this being one of the pettiest dramas that didn't need to even start, he decided to attack my personal life instead of confronting the actual problems between us or owning up to his side of the events. So, in order to get the proper timeline of events and full context of this, let's first go back to where Mythical and I had our falling out. This all started a few weeks ago, directly on my birthday in fact. A Twitter account made to parody and troll Nier started making very annoying posts about us both. At first it wasn't too bad, albeit they were saying some very abhorrent things about Nier. My first thought was that it was Mythical or someone close to him, because his entire sense of humor revolves around calling others pedophiles, etc. And this was our first interaction over the account, where nothing was really resolved by it, and Mythical was just defending Beast from following the account. A couple days later, the troll account posted a thread calling me out as a groomer, obviously with no corroborating evidence, but this was definitely the last straw for me, let alone Nier. So I went to Mythical again for a few reasons. One, I still didn't believe it wasn't one of his friends doing this, even if I gave Mythical the benefit, and two, one of his close friends, LT Beast, as well as other friends of his, were all following the account still, basically condoning the slander towards me and supporting their platform. So I went to Mythical to ask him if he found out anything else, and I think I'll just read it from here. Do you know who it is yet? No, I don't, but I heard that people think it's me though. Well, when this is who we've seen following the account, can you blame us for thinking it's you or one of your dipshit friends? I mean, shit dude, how many different accounts is LT gonna follow with? I don't buy it isn't one of you guys behind it. I'm giving you the benefit, Myth, but I firmly believe it's Beast or one of your retard friends. I'm gonna keep it real with you, I don't know who is behind the account, I don't care who owns the account, and I don't care about the account in general. If you and Nier want to be YouTubers, then stop caring about stupid shit like this, because it's gonna happen a lot more if you two want to be YouTubers. Nobody actually thinks it's Nier, so it's not a big issue. Just report it, block it, or ignore it, it's not that hard. Stop getting me involved with this gay shit, because I don't give any fucks about it at all. K, thanks. No problem. Fuck off. Skull emoji. You're the same bitch that came to me about Athens saying things you legit just didn't like, but if I seek your help with the account calling me a groomer, I never said people are thinking this is Nier. I don't know what's clear about not liking the account and wanting to find out who was behind it. You don't want to help, fine. Just say so, but don't act like you're on some fucking high ground when you've done the same petty shit before to me over Discord. Womp womp. Actual cunt. Now the next set of DMs are actually between a friend and I, where I explained to him what just happened between me and Mythical. I unadded Mythical after this, where he proceeded to ping me in his server, claiming I blocked him and asking me to grow up. But before I could say much, LTB started perpetuating shit that the troll Twitter account said about me, so I just said now I'm blocking you, and left his server and blocked him. Not long after this, the troll account started replying to a bunch of my old tweets with the groomer thread bullshit and just adding me on Twitter. And Mythical also made a tweet about Nier blocking his, Mythical's, Twitter account. Jesus fucking Christ, so it's just them, Yaw Gang is doing this shit. I have full reason to believe they are, considering the amount I got pinged by the account on Twitter right after I left Mythical's server. Literally not 10 to 20 minutes after our falling out, I checked Twitter, 7 notifications. And yes, they were all from the troll account. Also, quick addendum to the last screenshot, I don't think it's specifically Yaw Gang behind the account anymore, but it's pretty irrelevant to me if they are, and the rest of this video is going to explain why. So basically, I was fed up with him defending his friends from following the account, and it really pissed me off when he essentially kicked me to the curb and told me to grow up over this because y'all are YouTubers. Because Mythical showed me his true colors here and how much of a petty hypocrite he really is. But we'll get into the hypocrisy later. First, I have to finish how our falling out ended. Because first of all, I have to say that if he had have just left me alone for a day or two, we probably could have talked this out after the fact. I was just ticked off in the moment over his response, and reasons I'll get into later. However, after the DMs I sent to my friend over what Mythical did, and how he proceeded to ping me in his server, and LT Beast immediately harassing me, propagating lies from the troll account on Twitter, all before I could send more than one message, I decided it was easier to just block Mythical and leave his server if he was going to act that childish while condoning his friend's shitty behavior and supporting the troll account's platform. But this all gets even worse. And we're still on the first day of this, motherfuckers. So, before anything else progressed publicly between all of us, a member of Yagang and one of Mythical's dipshit friends thought it would be fun to start posting more defamatory claims in my DMs. Whether it was some kind of scare tactic, whether Mythical asked him to do this or not, he still condoned this level of harassment towards me. How do I know? Because Gecko swiftly added me to a group chat with him, as well as Mythical and LT Beast. But before anything else happened there, I blocked them all and left it. Considering the contents of their messages, all they wanted to do was harass me further anyways. So, after the first day of our falling out, there was some more back and forth between us in a mutual Discord server. I don't have any screenshots of this because it's just petty squabble, and I'm not actually in Mythical server to go see the source or full context. But members of our community were pinging me in another server with screenshots from Mythicals. We continued fighting, where I eventually made the claim that I don't believe the troll account isn't being run by one of them. I'm mainly discussing all this to clarify that I don't stand by the statement anymore, and that it's irrelevant. Because during this argument, Mythical continued insisting that I was blaming him specifically for the account, confirmed by the prior DMs from Wailing Gecko. And even though I specifically said I was giving him the benefit of the doubt in our DMs, it's also irrelevant whether they were behind it or not now. As I stated previously, he still defended his friends following it, had his friends propagating what the account was saying to me, which segues straight into my next point, Mythical's hypocrisy. Since this all transpired, Mythical has started posting publicly about Nier and myself well before I made any public statements, making a post about Nier blocking him on Twitter, as well as LT Beast continuing to harass us in petty ways. During all this, we had some other small beef with a friend of ours named Thunderstruck. It was a whole different situation, but Mythical decided to spite us by going to Thunderstruck and telling him about a joke Nier and I made in very poor taste that went on for way too long, and it was done at Thunderstruck's expense. Needless to say, we talked to Thunder and all of that situation was resolved. Mythical, however, neglected to mention that he was in on and condoning the joke about Thunderstruck for months. He only ran and told him about it in spite of Nier and I. Mythical never cared about Thunderstruck's well-being to begin with, he only cared about getting back at us in any way he could. This is all just context for what happened next, however. During the discourse with Thunderstruck, Mythical made a comment responding to someone else under Thunder's community post regarding Nier and I. Nier and his lowlife boyfriend have been caught lying so many times in the last month or two, even going out of their way to downplay the sexual harassment I received from their friends because they wanted to protect them. That's two of the reasons why I want nothing to do with them. They have lost my respect, and I am praying for their downfall now. Well, I guess that lost in respect is mutual. So, not only is he essentially calling us both pathological liars, he's accusing us of condoning legitimate sexual harassment in my server, and this is where the public discourse between Myth and I really began. I made a community post about this comment and posted a screenshot from my server at the time showing how Mythical was acting in regards to the quote sexual harassment in my server. The point I was trying to make with this is that he completely hid the fact that he not only instigated and started the harassment towards others in my server, but continued to play into it for hours. That is, up until people started retaliating against him en masse. That's when he got fed up with it, and decided to come running and crying to me over it. This is where Mythical decided to make his Twitter thread about me. Very, very poorly, by the way. Consisting of only a few out-of-context screenshots trying to claim that Nier and I both condoned him getting sexually harassed. This is also why I originally called him a hypocrite during our initial falling out in DMs. Before I explain why he's a petty hypocrite for this, we first have to cover the entire context of that day in my server, and the following DMs I had with Mythical when he came crying to me about it. So, I did my best to organize the timestamps of these screenshots because so much happened that day and I wanted this all to be in order as much as possible. So first, definitively, this is where everything started, even by Mythical's own admission, and how it progressed from there into my DMs. Technically, it began a couple days before the actual, quote, sexual harassment in question. Mythical was making some out-of-pocket responses to people, nothing that bad or unusual, but what set him off was a server member jokingly stating, "Can we bully him so he leaves again?" Yeah, this wasn't the first time he's left my server, and we'll get into that much later. Eventually, this grew into an incredibly stupid Discord scuffle due to Mythical continuing to antagonize people in my server, specifically people like Athen, calling them a furry outright, while stating he isn't even trying trying to be funny, he's being serious with his allegations. Mythical proceeded to instigate, harass, and escalate the situation not only towards Athen, but multiple members of my server. People like Sergi, Focus, Poison Arrow, Doom1, and just about anyone else that was getting tired of him rabidly calling server members pedophiles, zoophiles, rapists, and anything else abhorrent that he could think of. Where he eventually tried to ping Nier and I, telling us to, quote, control the freaks in our server. After he started harassing them all, he proceeded to make a cope post about getting teamed up on, calling us all losers in our 30s, still using Discord. Which I also find hilarious because a month prior to this, he and LT Beast were teaming up against Sergi to call him a pedophile. Beast got banned from my server at the time, deleting his messages, but I could still find a bit of that interaction. So not only did they do that multiple times to him, but Sergi is admittedly very autistic. I say this to highlight the fact that Sergi had no idea Mythical was doing this as a joke at first. Hence his legitimate confusion from being called as such. This is also another example of Mythical not listening when he's been told to stop. Him and I briefly talked about this when it was happening. Despite the fact that Sergey eventually started playing along, he knew what he was doing was wrong still based on these DMs. Yet, Mythical persisted with his pattern of behavior multiple times in my server. So basically, when he asks others to stop pushing something, everyone needs to bow down and respect his wishes. But when he knows, and is outright told what he did was wrong, he'll completely forget it or ignore it, whichever, and just continue his immature and inappropriate behavior. This is one of the many reasons why I called him a childish hypocrite over all of this. But back on track, after the cope post pinging both of us in my server, Mythical eventually ran to both Nier and I's DMs, crying over the people clapping back at him for his shitty behavior, claiming it to be sexual harassment, all because, in his own words, I asked them to stop. Can you with these freaks? People on your server are mad weird, making me uncomfortable and shit. I told them to stop, too. I'm getting spammed with these weird messages. L. Very mature, bro. Here's a thought. Block them if you don't want to be spammed, or just mute their DMs. As for anything in the server, you literally troll people by calling them pedos all the time. If you're gonna call me immature for anything similar happening to you and laughing at that, perhaps look in a mirror. They went after me first, so I talked shit back. It was all a joke at first until shit was getting more serious. Then the weird comments were being made that made me uncomfortable. I told them to stop, but they kept doing it, knowing it made me uncomfortable. The thing that really pissed me off is that no one was held accountable except for me, villainizing me, and making 95% of the server go against me. I will happily admit that I did some wrongs in this situation, but the other people also did some wrongs, arguably worse in my opinion. The whole situation started because someone said that they wanted me to be bullied out of the server again, then I replied with a little pedo joke, the norm with my humor. Nobody had an issue about it until shit started getting serious while messing around. Maybe your answer lies in not acting that way with everyone because it's just, quote, the norm with your humor. I think Nier tried telling you a similar thing that you didn't learn your lesson and kept acting the same way, which of course will bring heat on you from the people you've previously pissed off. As for people joining and dogpiling, I can't speak for them. Best I could do is tell them no, really. But if and when you persist with your, quote, humor, I can't prevent the backlash that gets. If it gets any worse, I'll tell everyone to fuck off with doing it in the server, but I can't change what people like you or what they think of you. The pedo jokes I make were super obvious, though. Someone would have to be insane to take it seriously, but thanks for trying to be somewhat understanding. I just wanted to give my own point of view on things. Well, to be fair, I don't hate you or anything, so yeah. Plus, I don't want that shit to persist in my server too long, no matter who I think is in the wrong. Fair enough, I didn't want it to go that far, or expect more people to hop on that shit. I haven't said anything in there for hours, and a few people still keep mentioning me. Just ignore it. I'm trying, bro. Clearly it's still bothering you. I might be overthinking it, but I feel like they are trying to start more shit so I get banned or something. Most of them did say that they want me banned and kicked. It's a weird vibe, man. Like I told you, I'm not preventing the backlash that you get when you act the ways that you do. Essentially, you end up doing this to yourself. I gave you my advice. Block them, mute shit, ignore everything, and don't engage with it. The more you bitch and complain and feed into it, the worse that's going to be. Like, this whole thing is stupid. I agree it's dumb. Then take my advice and just shut up about it. I don't plan on talking in the chat anymore. I guess the only issue is the voice calls, I guess. It's not like you can't fucking chat, dude. I know, but if I do chat, people would most likely start something, and I don't want to get all that blame or some shit. Mute the server and everyone for a day or two, shut the fuck up about it, don't complain about it, and when you do chat in the server next, just don't let them get under your skin, because it seems like any time you receive what you dish out, this happens. I didn't really dish out the stuff they were dishing out, if you know what I mean. It just started with jokes and shit got too far and weird. Not saying I'm 100% innocent, because I did say some things as a response to them, but still. Dude, if you think the shit they are saying is any more absurd or somehow worse than the shit you do or say, look in a fucking mirror. It's always jokes from you, but they do it back and it's gone too far. Grow thicker skin, please. I don't think you understand my point. You have been as equally obnoxious and say just as dumb shit to me and others before. Then what is? Because so far, it sounds like you don't give a fuck when you joke around, but if that provokes a response back, it's going too far. But please, elaborate. They took it too far when they were making weird comments after I told them to stop, and not only that, but they bring up family, and if you know me, well, bring up my family is a very sensitive topic for me. If you know, you know. Now really quick, I have to give a small disclaimer that I have to blur some of the parts of this next message because they involve very sensitive information about Mythical's personal life and his family, as well as mentioning a friend that wishes to remain anonymous throughout this entire situation, so bear with me as I do have to blur some of this. Not to mention they were your mom jokes. On top of all that, I know there have been times where I asked you several times to stop with a joke, fucking baseball to be one of them, and you didn't. You don't seem to listen or get it through your thick skull. So as I said, you have a problem only when you receive the shit you dish out. Mute the server and ignore the jokes and bullshit. If it persists too much, I'll try to shut it down in the server. But to be clear, I don't really give a fuck either way about this. This whole thing comes off as a rules for thee but not for me scenario right now. I understand that most people won't know, but that shit is still recent and it really fucks me up. You were also making fun of the day he lost his girlfriend. Comparing that to is wild. Plus he never made it clear to me that he was affected by the jokes. It's still not something you should fucking joke about? Shut the fuck up before you take that high horse. There's levels to it, my guy. Don't dish it out if you can't receive it is the takeaway, and the fact you refuse to acknowledge that and still bitch about being wrong tells me all I need to know. We're done here. Either take my advice or don't. I don't care which. Whatever. Now, I need to highlight something very important in regards to those DMs. Mythical has claimed publicly multiple times that I condoned and am downplaying him receiving, quote, sexual harassment, when twice within these DMs I told him outright, if this persists in my server, I will shut it down, because I do not want any further drama or fighting in there. Mythical conveniently leaves out this important context whenever he shows the DMs we had, and to my knowledge, has never shown the full conversation, trying desperately to paint things in a number of ways. For one, acting like all I did was laugh at his expense. 2, acting as if I wouldn't help him or shut things down, and 3, acting as though he did nothing wrong and everyone else was coming after him unjustly. It is also important to mention that he likes to excuse his behavior towards everyone else in this situation with, well, if you know me, you know my sense of humor, and what I say isn't serious. Except you were being serious by your own admission. You never once tried to play it off as a joke. You only got fed up with the people dishing it back to you. No one else in the server was being serious, but no one else in my server ran to my DMs crying like a pathetic bitch because of you either. It was you who kept starting these confrontations, you would instigate and progress them, but when it became too much, you would blame everyone else for not leaving you alone. And before he takes some high horse on this situation as well, there have been multiple instances in voice chats since I met Mythical, even the very first time I actually met and talked to him, where he would continue to annoy the shit out of me despite the fact that I asked him to stop. Just like how he claims everyone, quote, sexually harassing him are in the wrong because he asked them to stop. Unless they outright muted him, kicked him from the VC, or some alternative, he wouldn't listen. Ever. All of this is exactly why I originally got pissed off at him during our falling out, because he ran crying to me over far less serious drama, asking for help, which I still told him I would shut it down, but when I came to him for help over the troll account on Twitter, he told me he didn't care and to basically grow up and fuck off, suggesting I just block, ignore, and move on from the account, despite him and his shit friend group following and supporting the account that was slandering me. Not to mention, when I gave him the exact same advice in the past over the people coming after him in my server, not only did he not want to take the advice, but still condemned me and everyone else for what had happened. This is exactly why I had a falling out with Mythical. He's a petty, immature, hypocritical, childish, entitled piece of shit who cries victim whenever he doesn't get his way. His sense of humor revolves around bullying others by calling them pedophiles, but cannot handle the simplest of backlash for acting inappropriate. And this is why I don't respect him, and why I will never associate with him in the future. So, we finally arrive at the final section of my video. Not that there's a lack of shit to still cover, but I've gotten most of the context and main points that I wanted to across. The rest of this video is mostly responding to parts of Mythical's recent video, made in attempts to quote expose me as some kind of liar, someone who condones sexual harassment, and even attacking my personal life unprovoked, as well as some follow-up points after his video that I want to make. So, how's about we just jump right into this gay shit?
We're gonna be talking about him today for being a little lying weasel. So if you didn't know, this guy made a community post about me recently, and it really is a dishonest one.
I only made the community post because you decided to speak about us publicly first, so just glaze by that, I guess. Like I said at the start of this video, none of this stupid drama needed to even begin. I just told you off for not having my back in DMs. But you and your ego couldn't resist trying to one-up me with this comment, attempting to depict me as a pathological liar, and like I condone sexual harassment, which I disproved twice in DMs.
So if you didn't know, I was in this Discord server a few months ago until I left, and the main reason why I left was because the server members in there, who are also his friends, were sexually harassing me. But I will go into more detail in a bit. But he really does try and downplay this whole situation by showing a screenshot of me jokingly calling someone a monkey and jokingly calling people a pedophile, which I think is kind of funny that he uses this, because if you know me well, then you know that I mean nothing behind what I say when I say this type of shit, because with the whole calling people monkey thing, that has no racist context behind it. I just say it for the sake of saying shit, and it means nothing whatsoever. And it's the exact same thing with the whole calling people pedophiles, because you know, that's my humor. My humor is to say some dumb shit.
For someone calling me a liar, you love to omit important details. I tried telling you this once already, that excusing this behavior is just the quote-unquote norm for your humor is fucking stupid. By your logic, everyone who was sexually harassing can just claim it was their sense of humor as well. Doesn't excuse their behavior to you, now does it? Especially when you consistently made people upset and uncomfortable with it. So you've done nothing but slander and defame everyone else, which you even admitted to me and multiple other people that you knew what you did was wrong, but you continued to do it anyways. I also have to add, you weren't the only one being demonized during that. I made it very clear I didn't like that you started it, that I didn't want it to persist in my server on either side, and that you coming to me over this was pathetic because you see no issue with calling people pedophiles, even if it's harmful. You seriously see nothing wrong with what you do, and that's the scariest part. Fucking pathetic excuses.
And you know what's really funny about this shit? That I don't even do any of this shit privately. This is all public knowledge. Everyone who knows me, and even my own audience, knows that I'm just a shit poster, and that I do this. So guess what, buddy? You're not bringing up anything new whatsoever.
Right, I forgot. Publicizing your behavior made it okay to go into people's servers, slander and defame them, make them upset and uncomfortable, then cry victim when they retaliate because I'm not serious, it's just my sense of humor, guys. I have no idea why you thought anyone else was being serious in my server either. Doesn't matter how many times you've been told to stop or what you're doing is wrong. This has been a repeating issue with you. Rules for thee, but not for me, I guess. I seriously do not care how quote normal this is for you, or if you do it publicly. I cared because you did it to people who did not feel comfortable with it repeatedly in my server. If you're going to cry sexual harassment, then keep that same fucking energy.
And if you want a moral fag about this shit, why don't you bring up the screenshots of your own friends literally calling me a monkey as well? And not only that, but your own femboy boyfriend saying the N-word like there's no tomorrow. Of course, I don't really care about him saying the N-word because I'm not offended, but if you're gonna moral fag over it, at least call him out as well. Because right now you're just looking like a bit of a hypocrite and you are being disingenuous.
Okay, genuinely though, how fucking stupid are you? Like, how far over your head did the point go? You seriously think I was trying to highlight you using slurs or calling people monkey? The point I was trying to make is right fucking in front of you. Rules for thee, but not for me. No matter how much anyone else insisted you've gone too far, you excuse calling people child rapists because it's just your humor. My god, this really is a fucking double standard. And he's trying to call me a hypocrite because I didn't go after Nier for saying the N-word? I didn't go after you for that either, dumbass! Remember though guys, according to Mythical, I'm the disingenuous idiotic liar here.
So this guy really did try and downplay the whole situation by saying this. He basically tries to downplay it by saying that I was only called Pookie and now I'm claiming it's sexual harassment, when that is not true whatsoever.
So wait, you saw this comment and still missed my point from earlier? How? How did you read this and think I was trying to call you out for slurs earlier? As for downplaying the harassment, we already went through the server messages. The worst thing said towards you was Athens saying something like, "I'll fart in your mouth." Like, absolutely scathing, bro. How would you ever recover? But remember guys, calling people pedophiles, rapists, and zoophiles is funny even when you make people uncomfortable, cause my humor, mate.
I legit have screenshots of me feeling uncomfortable with the things being said to me, even to the point where I told them to stop, but they kept on going. And it isn't just the word pookie, it was a lot more sexual comments.
Literally in your own screenshots, you've proven me correct. The worst thing said was, "I'll tickle you till you fart." I've already debunked you starting this shit, and persisting regardless of how people felt, and you're excusing your behavior because you think it's funny. But you're still trying to cry over this? Bro, this quote evidence is weak as absolute fuck. You're pathetic. You cannot take a joke or deal with your own medicine. Fuck saying I'm not cut out for YouTube when I got upset over grooming allegations. You're the one that's not cut out for YouTube if you cannot handle simple remarks like this. Either get fucking real or get off the platform.
And the fact that you're lying about the situation now is just beyond sad. But hey, let me explain something to you, buddy. Sexual harassment is when someone is feeling uncomfortable and tells the other person to stop making sexual comments about them, and if they don't stop, that's when the harassment begins. And it isn't just any harassment, it's sexual harassment due to the sexual comments being made.
Double standard then. You were told to stop harassing people in my server multiple times. You repeated this offense multiple times over month-long periods, even though you admitted what you were doing was wrong multiple fucking times. The things you were saying towards others was much worse in comparison. There's no contest. Saying, quote, "I'll tickle you till you fart" is nothing like being called a child rapist, which still made people upset and uncomfortable. The fact I even have to point this out to another grown man is what's really fucking sad here, Mythical. I'd also love to be called a liar again after showing proof of all this. All you have were out of context screenshots which you used to paint a narrative about me. Just grow the fuck up already.
So I proved that I told these people to stop and I did not give them any consent to make sexual comments about me. I proved that the comments were considered sexual. So what does that mean? It means it's sexual harassment. And the fact that I need to explain what sexual harassment is to a man that's almost 30 years old is worrying. Like, what the fuck?
Oh, Mythical, you did prove a lot. Not about that, no. But about you. You've proven to be immature, petty, hold double standards, and count on the rules for thee but not for me arguments. You low-life scumbag. And the fact you even attempted to twist this situation back around on me, taking me out of context all because I told you to fuck off in DMs? Well, I think you should be more worried about your delusional manipulative mindset rather than little old me.
But to be fair, you are just an old man who idolizes drugs and all that, who is jobless, and of course is broke. So basically you serve no purpose to society.
Correct me if I'm wrong here, seriously, but didn't you admit to never having a job or working a day in your life because you're autistic? I'm not even making an accusation, I'm genuinely asking because I feel like I remember this. Regardless, you know you're winning an argument when you have to resort to attacking someone's personal life instead of just addressing our stupid internet beef. You also know absolutely nothing about my life. I've only been out of work for a year. I worked with my dad from age 15 to 19 doing carpentry and landscaping under his company. I worked at a fishery from age 20 to 26, and last year I worked at my cousin's landscaping company for a few more months. I only stopped because he wasn't giving me enough hours. Earlier this year, I got paid to take a course to help me work from home, on top of them offering to help me get my license to also find work. So the fact is, I've worked more days in my life than you ever fucking will, because you have a lot of catching up to do. You're a shorts YouTuber. Maybe look in a mirror before calling me a no-life with no value in society. Also, God forbid I enjoy smoking weed or doing some mushrooms once in a while either. I don't idolize them. In your own words, Mythical, it's just my sense of humor, which literally none of this is your concern. You're just desperate at this point to demonize me.
So it's not really surprising that he comes out with this type of bullshit. Pure fucking degeneracy. And the fact that a YouTube Shorts YouTuber that goes skibbity bop bop every fucking 5 seconds because how brain rotted I am is giving you this much of a reality check is fucking depressing on your part. Like, my guy, rethink your life.
Dude is literally spurging over me, while admitting to being an even bigger degenerate. Aw, look at the skibbity bop bop shorts YouTuber. He actually thinks he's people. Maybe you need to rethink some of your life decisions instead, so get off your high horse, look in a mirror, get some goddamn perspective, and most of all, shut the hell up about my life? You think you're giving me a reality check, but the reality is you don't even fucking know who I am. Especially not well enough to pull this. You were actually this desperate to hold anything over me in your video, and oh my, did it ever fucking backfire.
But at the end of the day, you're just a sad little man that just wants to protect their little friends on Discord all day.
Projection?
Like my guy, go and get a life, get a job, find a real relationship and not do that fucking online dating bullshit. It's cringe.
Man, you really suck at taking your own advice because you constantly project onto me what you yourself should be doing, even bringing my life and relationship into this controversy, which was ridiculous. You said in your disclaimer that you have no ill will towards me, yet I can't help but see the contradictions here. You wouldn't have brought up my personal life or shamed my relationship if that were true. You're an even bigger hypocrite now because this should have been left at the discourse between us, not stretching into my personal life. I mean shit, I even showed you the same courtesy earlier in my video by blurring out the DMs with personal and sensitive details about your life. You're absolutely fake as fuck, Mythical, and trying to project yourself onto me is just pathetic. That, however, will do it for Mythical's video. The rest is just him coping over what I might do as a response to his video, them playing it off saying I'm not a threat to him. Well, I hate to tell you, Myth, but this video's existence also contradicts that. If I wasn't a threat, you'd have ignored me from moment one in our DMs. But all of this discourse exists because of you, so it feels real good knowing you're just trying to save face here. Hope you're happy this is all public now, too. So, with that out of the way, there's one more thing regarding Mythical I want to talk about for some true punctuality, since he wants to ridicule me as immature and childish. Well, I decided to go and ask an old friend of ours, Big Country, if he would mind giving a written statement about an interaction he had with Mythical a few months ago. It technically started with me just chilling with Krillix, waiting to respawn, when I first started trolling Mythical just for a quick laugh with everyone. Didn't think it'd escalate to where it was, certainly not over me and Myth just shit-talking and killing each other in a silly game. But he egged on and I followed, getting louder and louder, until Mythical voluntarily turned up the gain on his mic and started eating it while screaming every slur under the sun, to the point Nier started laughing because of how much it sounded like we genuinely hated each other. I still let Mythical win this Spurg war because it was to the point I couldn't keep insulting without laughing and dying myself. He, on the other hand, took it personal to the point of citing it as his reason for leaving the server for a week due to him not liking the fights he'd either start or voluntarily play in. So, seeing his 180 about harassment is especially rich now. Yeah, rich, and honestly not all that surprising, but big thanks to Big Country for giving a statement about this, it really helped. I thought his comment was befitting to end the video on, because it perfectly encapsulates Mythical's personality. He's a hypocritical, petty man-child that cannot handle what he dishes out. It's all fun and games to him until someone fires back, then he turns into a crying little bitch who can't have his way. He's a petty, fake-as-fuck, manipulative retard that refuses to take any accountability whatsoever. The moment he faces backlash for his actions or behavior, he victimizes himself and runs off crying. I never trusted you, Mythical. Nier accepted you as his friend, so I tolerated you. But I see now that I should have trusted my gut like always and told him you were a lost cause from the start. Just like I did with Sean the Legend. So, well, I guess you two have more in common than you thought, huh? But with all that being said, fuck my usual outro. Subscribe for more gay therapy videos whenever I make them, and I'll catch y'all next time.
How does it taste? How does that dick taste, my friend? How does it taste? How does that dick taste, my friend? To a smooth motherfucker. In Mountain Dew coursing through your veins, little 12-year-old rage running through your body. That's not gay, Mr. Day Saturday. How does it taste? How does that dick taste, my friend? How does it taste?